Major funding for these broadcasts has been provided by grants from New York Community Bank, Capital One Bank, Eastern Consolidated, M&T Bank, Sterling National Bank, Meridian Capital Group, the Witkoff Organization, Customers Bank, Ariel Property Advisors, Chase Commercial Term Lending, Chase Mortgage Lending, Perfect Building Maintenance, Genova Burns. Additional funding has been provided by AKA Hotels, Corman Communities, AmTrust Title Insurance Company, AVR Realty Company, Bank of America, Merrill Lynch, Bank Leumi USA, Briarwood Organization, CBRE, Citizens Bank, Cohen Equities, Colliers International NYC, Collins Building Services, Connect One Bank, CPEX Real Estate Services, Dime Community Bank, Douglaston Development, Levine Builders, Flushing Bank, Friedman LLP, Handro Properties, Handler Real Estate Organization, HAP Investments, Hodges Ward Elliott Inc., Investors Bank, James D. Kuhn Real Estate Center at Syracuse University, Kilroy Architectural Windows, Madison Realty Capital, Matone Group, Mercantile Bank, New Banks, Newmark Grubb Knight Frank, Optimum Window Manufacturing Corp., People's United Bank, Polsonelli, Rosewood Realty Services, SJP Properties, Stonehenge Partners, TD Bank, Terra CRG, the Knackle Group at Cushman and Wakefield, Maring Goff Family Foundation, the Moynihan Group, and these friends.
Abruzzi, Italy, Astoria, public school. Nah, I'm going to get involved with real estate. Nah, I like real estate, but I also want to be a banker. I want to convert the Steinway building, Eagle Electric building. I'm going to get involved. I'm going to be a community leader. I'm lucky today. I have Joe Pistilli, who is the Chairman and CEO of Pistilli Realty, and also the Chairman of First Central Savings Bank. Thanks for being here.
Mike, thanks for having me back.
So tell me a little about Grandpa, because Grandpa came over earlier than your father.
Yeah, my grandfather came here in the 1930s and went to the west, the Midwest, and then Vancouver
area. So did
area.
he come to New York first, or he went to the west originally?
They went to the west side and into Vancouver, Canada, and worked in mines. And actually, my grandfather, growing up with him, we all lived together at that time. He had what I would refer to a Western twang. So he would speak to you with, I reckon it'll be a nice day today, or with an Italian accent to that. So he was a very, very amazing guy.
And he was even in the military, right?
Yeah, he was in cavalry.
Or was he stationed during the cavalry?
I don't recall. I don't remember exactly where.
So he's here with your grandmother?
No, my grandmother was in Italy with my father.
Okay. We have that wonderful picture of the family going back to Italy, and then we have a picture of when the family came over in 1948. Where
my father came over, yeah.
Your father comes over to live with his father.
It was the first time he actually met and saw his father in 17, 18 years. Never met him. He had met him on that day, that photograph.
So how old was your dad when he came over?
17, 18 years old.
And subsequently, he gets a job as what, a laborer, you said to me, right?
He was a laborer. Actually, my father also worked in the Eagle Electric Company, wiring and piecework for Christmas lights.
Any idea how they ended up in Astoria?
Well, I just, my grandfather was living there, so that was his first home. And in that area of Astoria at that time was a very strong Italian community. And they all networked with themselves and worked with themselves, and that's where that was their groundwork for that particular group of people that came from this Abruzzi area. My mom ended up in Thompson Street, Mulberry and Sullivan, that area.
So
they lived
where'd
there.
your mother come from? Where in
They came from the area called Savignano, which was part of Naples, the countryside of Naples.
When did Mom come over?
Around the same period of time.
How'd Mom meet Dad?
In Little Italy, there was an Italian movie theater, and then my father met her coming out of the movies. And history was made.
What was the difference in age of the two of them?
They were 3 years apart.
Now, at this time, Grandpa's still working as a laborer,
Yeah,
and Dad is working also
as a laborer.
working. But you said to me he was working in Queens and up in Westchester?
Yeah, my father was a union laborer who then became a union carpenter. Both of them were union workers and in the construction field. My father moved on to skilled labor, the carpenter, and actually worked much more in Westchester County. But he had a union was in New York City.
You're born what year?
53.
You lived in the house with your grandparents?
Yeah, we all lived together.
Was it the three family or which one was it? You said to me.
We had a two-family house that we all shared and lived together. It was a six-room apartment, two-family house with a store, mixed use. And then next door, my grandmother ended up buying next door.
So tell me about growing up in Astoria as a kid. Because you did go to public school.
Yeah, I went to public school. I did religious instruction all the way through the early
communion
parts.
and everything.
Yeah, communion, confirmation, all the sacraments, right through marriage. Growing up in Astoria was a very nice place. It was an eclectic, I think I would refer to it as an eclectic neighborhood. Many different people. The Italians were there. The Hispanics were there. All different people lived there.
But you said you didn't feel missing. You felt comfortable. Your father was a worker, he was a laborer, but you had a comfortable life. You enjoyed growing up.
Yes.
You went to Horace Harding, I believe?
Yeah, PS10 and Flushing High School.
Okay, in Flushing High School. Flushing was a little far.
Yeah, my parents had moved to Whitestone. I was living with my grandparents still in Astoria. And the reason for that was that I was finishing up certain things that were going on there. So I would bus it back and forth to Flushing while I still lived in Astoria until they had finished fixing up their house and then we all moved in together.
So you graduated high school, and at this time your father has a health problem, right?
Yeah.
So tell me about the story, because it has an effect later on in the future of Pistilli Real Estate.
Yeah, it really does. My father ended up getting sick with gallbladder, and he stayed with it for a very long period of time, ill with the symptoms of the gallbladder. When he was hospitalized, he was in there for, well, I would say, about 40-some-odd days. During the operation, at that time wasn't like today where it's all laparoscopic. It was really, they went in and cut you open, and he had a very severe scar from that. He had, from that surgery, and he may have had it before, but it was said that from the surgery he ended up with a very severe case of diabetes, where he wasn't able to go to work any longer. And that created a tremendous amount of hardship, because also, at that time, we also came to find out that the union benefits, the annuity and insurance policies, and that was supposed to be there for him, were not. And part of it was administratively that he was a union carpenter to work in New York City, and he worked in Westchester County. And by working in Westchester County, he ended up forfeiting some of that, and then the union had gone bust as well. So the financial need to pay for this medical care that he was receiving became a personal burden on us. And that's where it is in that trip that we're discussing that Pistilli Realty kind of evolves into a business.
Now, Dad had acquired a small building, right?
Yeah.
And tell me the story about the building and the mortgage and the whole story, because
my father had a building that he had acquired for the purpose of his old age. He wanted to own this building, and he owned it for many, many years.
it was a
It was a 20-family house, 4-story walk-up, and
in Astoria.
was in Astoria. And when he got sick, I approached him because the hospital bills were coming in. They wanted to get paid. And the news coming that he would not be able to go back to work in the construction industry was very difficult for us. Now, my parents, again, their English was limited. Their ways of doing things were very in a box, so to speak. And my mother was the type of woman that stayed home, baked bread, and made Sunday dinners. So I approached my father and said, it may be the best thing for us to do in order to get rid of these bills that keep coming, to possibly sell this building. Now, the building at that time, too, we need to recall, it's not like today. The entire industry was rent controlled. Rent stabilization actually comes after that period of time. So you were dealing with people that had $60 rents, $40 rents, and the services were the same services you need to provide today. And he did not want me to sell the property, and I stayed with his wishes. And then at some point he did listen to me and said, look, if you think this is the best thing for us to do, we would do that. We ended up selling the property. I knew nothing about the real estate business.
But you said you sold the property and you had a second mortgage, right?
Yeah, we had a first mortgage with one of the larger institutions in New York, and then we placed the second mortgage in order to facilitate the sale. This would provide my father with this additional income.
Right, from the cash flow.
From the cash flow of the second
Right,
mortgage, which was actually more than he was making from the rents, because they never made money with the rents. And we at that time, the mortgage was written to allow for an assumption of that first mortgage, which is what we passed along. 2-3 years later, the owner of the buyer of the property, the owner of the property, ended up losing him, not paying us.
And that's how you acquired the property back.
Yeah, we went to auction, we acquired the property back, and that was the realization that, for me, and for my dad, I think, that there was a business here to be had.
Now, what were you doing prior to this when the building was, sold? Were you doing were you working in?
We were working in construction, but we also were able to have the court appoint us as the receivers, management and receivership.
But you were doing construction yourself at this time?
Yeah, we were working for a construction company.
So now you take over the property and you decide that there's really a business here.
Yeah, we come to realize that you can buy, sell, and if it goes bad, you can actually take it back.
Right, and you're about 20 years of age at this point.
I was about 20 years. I was single.
Okay. What happens 10 years later that you decided with a bunch of Greek guys, also in Astoria, needless to say, that there was a need for a new bank? What happens with the inception of Marathon Bank?
Well, I was invited to join a group of people that were a commercial bank in organization. So I knew the members of the investment group. I became a part of that group, and the bank eventually did open up, and it was chartered as a national bank. I became a director on the board, along with the other group, who were really mainly successful business and professional people who got involved with the bank.
And the bank had a need because the Astoria community, the Greek community, had a need for a small community bank.
Absolutely.
Because at that time there was only really Atlantic Bank and some others, and
Right.
there was a need. Simultaneously, with the exception of Marathon, Pistilli grows,
Yeah.
acquiring properties. So how do you acquire, which is really cute to say, because your dad worked doing some work at Eagle Electric, the Eagle Electric building. Tell me about the Eagle Electric building.
Eagle Electric building was vacant for a period of time. The Eagle Electric building was about 50,000 square feet. I'm sorry, about 125,000 square feet. It was 3 floors of the original building. It was spandrel poured concrete, reinforced concrete, built probably around 1920, 1925.
Right near the park.
Right near the park, and protected in a way because the park, and it's being the whole block, won't allow for any construction around it. We tried to buy it a couple of times, was unable to buy it. I approached the owners with a leasehold concept. I said, if you allow us to lease it from you with the right to develop it into an equity plan, a co-op plan. And the co-op plan versus the condo plan, the only reason why we went that route is because we didn't have a deed. We had a 50-year lease with an option to buy in year 12 and 13, which the co-op eventually bought the property and now has a deed, a fee simple deed there. And in addition to the 3 floors that were there, we took the first 2 floors, made them into loft apartments, so they're actually a split level, so to speak. The 3rd floor, we split in half, and we extended the roof line, and we went up 3 floors with a mansard roof, and the mansard roof basically goes up on a 45-degree angle, so the apartments were set back all around. And that was really for the point of we didn't want to have, and neither did the community, wanted really this towering building or structure, and we built in the front of it as well. We ended up with a 350,000 square foot residential building, mixed use.
And then you also, another building that had notoriety was the Steinway.
Steinway,
which also then became Stearns, I believe. Stearns
was there for a while. I was one of their warehouses. Obviously, they went out of business as well. I bought the building from a family that owned the property, and the husband was killed in an aircraft accident on his way to Greece. And they were settling up their estate and all, and we ended up approaching them to buy the property. And we bought the property, and we converted that into 201 condominium apartments. We developed parking. We developed some professional space on the lower level. It's a beautiful, beautiful location. It's on 45th Street on Ditmars Boulevard.
You did some ground-up construction.
We did a Newtown office building of 85,000 square feet on Newtown Avenue.
So what happens in 1999? Marathon was 1986.
Yeah.
You're on the board of Marathon, the bank is growing, and at that time the bank was subsequently acquired by a Greek financial institution.
Yeah, part of it was.
Part of it was. And you decide with a bunch of people to start the first state-chartered savings bank since 1929.
Yes.
Called First Central Savings. Tell me about First Central Savings.
Well, I think that first, I have a passion for the financial service or the banking industry. And a lot of that came from Marathon National Bank. It was a great institution, great group of guys who started something that was not the easiest thing to get off the ground. From a de novo point of view, it's not like they bought a charter. This was actually started from the ground up, as was First Central Savings Bank. And I did, and I still believe that small community banks do serve a purpose.
But why a savings bank as opposed to a commercial bank?
A savings bank at that time, I'm not sure if it's the same today, a savings bank at that time allowed you to have 25% loan to a borrower, where the commercial charter only allowed you to do 10%. So there was an advantage of leveraging out to the real estate industry, if it was real estate, collateralized, up to 25%.
So how do you find that your first branch, which was a former chemical manufacturer's Hanover bank?
Yes, it was. Whitestone, Queens, on Francis Lewis Boulevard. It was a branch that came available through a merger and acquisition, unfortunately, but fortunately for me. One of our real estate people in Queens who own it, I think they actually developed the property. I approached them. They wanted to put another bank there, and it became the home of First Central Savings Bank. It's a great location.
So the bank in 1999.
April of 99.
And there was a number of articles, which basically said that there was a need for the community. I mean, Dave Slackman, who was president of Atlantic's retail branches, said that there was a need in Queens specifically for the community. So the bank, at that time, you were the chairman of the bank?
I was the chairman and CEO at that time.
And over the next couple of years, you opened up, 7 branches?
We had a total of 9 locations, where we have 8 now.
Now, how did you decide to move your corporate headquarters out of Queens to Glen Cove?
That was the decision that was really made because we were heavily getting involved in 1 to 4 residential lending, and we were buying and selling and buying and selling them. And as the company grew and the need for more space and more people dealing with this product, and from a tax-based point of view too, it made sense for us to go to the location.
So you were doing the 1 to 4 and selling them to the government?
We were selling them back to the organized originators.
Fannie Mae?
Yeah.
So unfortunately, like everything else in banking, when 2008 came around, 2008, 2009 came around, what happened to the bank at that time?
Well, the economy went against us in a very big way. We had grown the bank to about $875 million in assets. It was a very profitable bank. But like many smaller banks at that time, regulations changed. The public changed. The public had leveraged itself out personally itself on commercial real estate. The development side got hurt. People were doing HELOC loans to buy boats, to buy second homes, and many other reasons. We got caught in that trap.
But fortunately, not unfortunately, many of the banks started, in the 90s, the end of the 90s, like Liberty Point Bank, and a couple of Lightstone Bank, they weren't able to survive the period of time. And you and your management team and your directors really stood in over there. And for the past, fortunately, right now, the bank is profitable, running a good operation, and you're still involved with the bank as the chairman.
Yes, I am. I think a lot of that I'd like to give credit to, and I think it's important to give credit to, because I think along the way the regulators have received maybe sometimes a hard hand. And I think that they were able to at least recognize the passion of the bank, behind the bank, and allowing us to raise capital, put capital in, and fix the problems going forward. And I think at the end of the day, the FDIC and DFS should be proud because they were a big helping hand in allowing us to survive. I mean, we did it on our own at the end of the day.
No, but I think community needed the bank, okay, because there aren't community banks, okay? TD is a wonderful bank, but they're a large Canadian operation. There aren't small banks. Today there were credit unions, but recently 2 of them who serve this type of community also, not doing the same type of loans, but serve the community and no longer here because what happened with the taxi industry. So when a bank is out there taking care of the local merchants, the local bodega, taking care of the other community needs, that's really important.
But Mike, and you touch upon something with the other 2 banks that had a mission statement. They had a niche borrower, and they lended in a very niche market, which overnight changed considerably. So I think in as much as small community banks are needed and need to find a niche, I think when it comes to niche lending or any type of niche, you really do need to be able to begin with that niche to be a philosophy, a culture. It's not just to say that we're going to oversaturate whatever we're doing in barbershops or shoe stores or bars or restaurants. Any over-concentration of anything in the banking business is going to send up red flags because it's like anything else. What's good today may not be that great tomorrow. So I think that what the regulator is looking for today is for you to find a niche. And I think community banks, small community banks like First Central are very necessary because, like you said, whether it's TD or another bank, a large bank, regardless of where they come from, they can't really serve the need of a small businessman because he's not sophisticated enough.
Right, and the large banks look at it that it's not worth the headache because they're, and understand.
But why take the risk?
Let's talk a little bit about family and the next generation of the Pistillis in the real estate business.
I love that.
Okay, so tell me about the kids.
My daughter just got married.
Right.
She married someone in the business. Really nice son-in-law. I couldn't have gotten a better son-in-law. She works in the business, she's vice president of customer service. That's Lindsay. My son Michael is also vice president. He oversees actually our Bronx portfolio on the residential side. And I have my brother's 3 children, my niece Gina, her husband Larry, who I dragged along today, and my 2 nephews Michael and Anthony. They also are in the on the residential Queens, Brooklyn side. My nephew Larry takes care of professional and commercial space, and a little residential in the Bronx.
So what do you want to do when you grow up, Joe?
I want them to send me a check.
So wait, so you want to follow the same thing that your father was, what he did when he bought the first building, right?
Yeah, I would say that. Yeah.
But I would say, for the kid, the Astoria kid, who, you didn't tell me how you ended up in Flushing. Now I understand because of the movement over there. It's fortuitous in a way that Dad got ill, that you were able to learn and gain in the real estate business. It's fortuitous also that, you've served the need of building apartments in a neighborhood that today that everybody wants to be in Queens and everybody wants to be near Astoria.
It's a great place.
And since I toured the building, the Eagle Electric, I saw the quality of the work and the community. And I'm happy that all the kids and everybody are healthy in the family. And thanks for being here today.
I just want to touch one thing that I think is important. I didn't get in, the relationship that my brother and I had, my brother Tony, and he really does the outside structure of the operation side. We've had a relationship and a chemical that really has made that work. And I hope that the kids can really find among themselves who plays one in each part.
But if you look at that picture of your father coming over from Italy and the family, that's what the Pistilli family is. Yes, years ago, and that's what it's going to be today and in the future.
I love that.
Thanks for being here.
Mike, thanks again.